We've got 4 bona fide PBA stars on today's show and 1 who's looking to become a star on today's show at the PBA Wolf Open here at Parkside Lanes in Aurora, Illinois. I'm Lucas Wiseman alongside PBA Hall of Famer Chris Barnes. Chris, good evening. Sorry you're not bowling, but we've got a great stepladder tonight.
Well, I can honestly say I'm not happy to be here with you. But, yeah, I mean, some great familiar faces on the show, guys that we've seen for decades, and Norm Duke, and then Shawn Rash making yet another appearance. An up-and-coming burgeoning star, maybe, Greg Young, taking a few years off from those Team Masters wins. Had a rough go, but, man, he is making the most of it in these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, second show of the season for Greg Young. He's a rookie on the tour. A win tonight. It could lock up Rookie of the Year honors for him. No other rookie has won.
Yeah, he has a long road ahead of him, though, and right off the bat, he's facing Kyle Troup, who is, formerly was an expert short pattern specialist for a two-hander, turned himself into a great all-around player, and that's the match we're going to kick off with tonight.
Yeah, the winner of that opening match will take on Shawn Rash, who, of course, is from this area and is hosting this week in Parkside. And then the semifinal, Norm Duke awaits, and everybody loves Norm Duke.
Well, one of the best players of all time. In my mind, he's quietly gone into third place in the, behind Walter and Earl as the all-time. Now Jason may run them all down, but right now, Norm is the guy that he's at 40 titles, and he's surpassed about everybody else.
And the top seed, Anthony Simonsen, he kind of ran away with this thing down the stretch. Maybe motivated by seeing the new FloBowling film, Simonson, and that's going to be coming out soon. He's in the lead.
Well, there's something to be said when you put something out there that shows your true self, and he seems to be pretty comfortable in his own skin. And this is one of those weeks that's true Simonson. He does a lot of different things, and he had all the tricks working this week.
Well, we're going to send it down to PBA Deputy Commissioner Kirk Von Kruger for the introductions as we get started here at Parkside Lanes.
Bowling fans, welcome to the 2019 FloBowling Summer Swing, presented by the brands of Ebonite International. This is the PBA Wolf Championship. It's now my pleasure to introduce our 5 finalists for this evening's competition. The number 5 seed has 3 PBA Tour titles. He's a member of Team USA from Taylorsville, North Carolina, Kyle Troup. His opponent this evening is looking for his first PBA Tour title from Aurora, Florida, Greg Young. The winner of that first match will go on to face our number 3 seed. He has 13 PBA Tour titles, including 2 majors. He was a 2011-12 PBA Player of the Year from Montgomery, Illinois, Shawn Rash. That winner will go on to face our number 2 seed, 40 PBA Tour titles, including 7 majors. A 2-time PBA Player of the Year, a member of the PBA Hall of Fame from Claremont, Florida, Norm Duke. And now our number 1 seed need only win 1 match tonight to take home the PBA Wolf Open Championship. He has 4 PBA Tour titles, including 2 majors. From Little Elm, Texas, Anthony Simonsen.
And you can see the players getting ready for our opening match. Kyle Troup against Greg Young Jr. Troup with 3 career PBA Tour titles, and Greg Young looking for his first. But both these players were on the outside looking in, going into the final game of the Cashers round. One of them got in at your expense, unfortunately,
yes,
Chris. But these 2 guys made a run at the end, didn't they?
Yeah, and Greg, that's how he made the show the first time, too. Came down the stretch, 2 huge games to catapult himself from really well off the show to well into the show. And that's kind of... Normally you would expect the non-titleist to be at a disadvantage, but he's actually made a show more recently than Kyle.
And gets off just out of the gates with a strike here. And it's a big crowd here at Parkside Lanes. As we take a look, you're going to see how far right the ball goes on this shot, flirting with the gutter, similar to how you guys played in Coldwater, just the last event.
It's really 2 feet shorter than that, which means in theory you should be even closer to the gutter than you were in Coldwater. And the topography is probably slightly better here. Generally speaking, the left lanes will hook more, in my experience, though. On this pair, that should hold true again.
Kyle Troup gets things off with a strike using a urethane ball, as a lot of players did this week. A lot of urethane going down the lane on this PBA Wolf Open pattern.
There was a lot during qualifying, but much less as the tournament progressed and the cashers round happened, that a lot of that urethane went away. Kyle was one of the few players that was able to make it look good.
And we are bowling on fresh here. They've oiled the lanes again, so...
Told me if he was to make it up the ladder at some point, he would have to throw reactive.
And he did that well down the stretch in the cashers round. Second frame. All 10 back for Kyle Troup. Double to start, 10-pin lead.
Both players look like they struggled a little bit on this left lane. I saw multiple gutter balls, so there's not quite as much friction right off the edge as there is on some of the other ones. For myself, that was the only lane I had a gutter ball on, and it was a shot that typically on most lanes would have hooked back. So there's a little spot there that doesn't automatically hook.
Looks like Greg Young throwing a Brunswick Hero. Good looking shot from the youngster. Beat Wes Malott in his first appearance on a Stepladder Finals at the PBA Chesapeake Open. Ended up finishing in third place in that event.
He bowled really well for, I guess he's relative newcomer, do we say, to PBA telecast, but he's been in a lot of Step Finals. Storied youth career. It hadn't translated into big time results out here yet, but it seems he's picked up some touch. He's doing some things that he didn't do before, and he's starting to see some results.
I think everybody expected coming into this season that Greg Young would be in the hunt for the Rookie of the Year. I think overall his season has been a little disappointing with the exception of the Chesapeake event, but another big finish here this week. And a blower 10 there for Young.
Well, the end result is 2 step ladders in your rookie season is more than a small success. And that was a really good shot. I think he was much less worried about that one than he was the very first one.
Well, for Greg, after making that first show, do you think that loosens things up a little bit, gives him a little confidence?
Well, certainly familiarity will ease the stress that is involved with a TV show. And even if you haven't made one in 6 months or so, being on that show again will bring a different feeling than the guy who's been bowling on regular shows. And I think you saw that with lots of players. And Belmonte, most recently, once he got comfortable on TV, he just won a lot.
Yeah.
And when he did get beat, it wasn't a gift. It was somebody took it.
Well, Kyle Troup leading by 1. Third frame here. The fro in full effect today.
Wow.
Well, pulled it a little bit inside, and it still holds for a strike. 3 in a row.
Yeah, that's good news for him, and it's also not bad news for the rest of the field because he has that urethane ball kind of plows and pushes oil further down the lane. That'll be a little bit more hold for the players later on.
So Kyle Troup now up by 11. It's very important to get all the oil off the urethane ball, isn't that right, Chris?
It absolutely is. A ball that has residue left on it will hook considerably less because it doesn't, in this case, this pitch black does not flare a lot, so it's going to roll over the same spot for a lot longer than a higher flare bowling ball.
Phone in the background here,
yep.
And Kyle's going to step back and wait for whoever it is. Get a sip of his sweet tea, maybe. Makes me think I better check my phone and make sure it's turned off.
And it's just a reminder to place your cell phones in silent mode as a courtesy to our players. Thank you.
When a distraction like this happens, Chris, just step back and start over the pre-shot routine?
You just go restart. It's really not a big deal as long as it doesn't catch you in the middle where you get to a point of no return. At this point, you reset, go through your same routine. It's no different than sitting on the bench and watching your opponent throw 2 shots. Just those last 15 to 20 seconds are all that matters.
So Troup up by 11. 4th frame, our opening match of the Stepladder Finals. Another great shot. All 10 back for another strike. And the front 4 for Kyle Troup.
Boy, this looks pretty pure here. anytime a player walks one off left, it's a pretty good shot.
You see the nice reaction. A colorful outfit today for Kyle Troup, as we are accustomed to seeing.
No, very odd. very, very unusual for him to wear anything that might draw attention. And
that is now a 21-pin lead for Kyle Troup. So all of a sudden, Greg Young has got to start keeping pace with him. It's a great shot.
Yeah, really no fault of his own. He's thrown 4 excellent shots to start off this match. And like we talked about, it's going to be about 60-40 reactive to urethane. Lots of the players that will throw reactive, though, are going to throw balls like this Hero, which is it's going to be a little bit slower cover, but it's a low RG and a medium-high differential ball. I'm going to say 247-047 for the other bowling nerds like me out there. But
how does it impact Greg, the fact that he is left of Kyle Troup early on here?
Not a ton. It'll make the ball pick up on the way to the gutter a little bit more.
And that one is gone.
Man, I've been getting good at this. I did that to Tommy twice last week.
The good news is it's not on a spare. No
it's really no harm,
lost.
no foul, as long as he makes the spare. But that is the one thing on this left lane. For whatever reason, I think it hooks more, but it does not necessarily hook more off the gutter, off of one. And so when you get it all the way there, we've seen multiple ones in practice go in. But the idea behind using this low RG is you get the core will help the ball pick up and roll sooner, maybe as much as 3 to 4 feet sooner than a 250, medium differential ball. Ooh,
breaks it up. That was a big spare right there. He still trails by 21, but it could have been a lot worse.
Still in trouble there, and that's just human nature. The last one goes in. You're going to make sure this one picks up. He got it basically to where he wanted to, but he grabbed it a little bit more to make sure it got there. Trips the 4, leaves him with some hope here.
But a serious opportunity now for Kyle Troup to really put his foot on the throat here.
Absolutely, up 21, chance to go to 31 here.
Another great shot. 5 consecutive strikes for Kyle Troup. Up by 31.
Great rhythm right now, posting up shots. The other thing about going left, it's hard to go left if you're falling off of them.
You can see the nice crowd here tonight. Kudos to the fans here at Parkside Lanes, and Kyle Troup looks like he's having a little bit of an issue. Smiling about it. Looks like a re-rack.
Been excellent the whole way. We had a youth clinic in the afternoon on what was that now? Sunday.
Sunday, yes.
Sunday, and we had this is the 54 lane center, and there was 3 to 4 kids on a lane all the way across the building. So 160, 180 kids in here. Pro-ams were also very, very busy, very full, and the crowds also, even from practice day, there was a big crowd. So Chicago, one of the best bowling cities in America.
He stays perfect, and he's halfway home. Front 6 for Kyle Troup. Let's take a look at this. Looks pretty pure.
Boy, nothing better than that. This is a no-doubter from the get-go.
Do that leg kick, you know it's good, right?
Just needed to pick up right there, and once that picked up, he was home.
It's a 41-pin lead for Troup, as he has not missed here in our opening match.
See that pin below the middle finger for Greg. That's going to tighten up the flare rings, let him stay a little closer to the friction, and make a little smoother move off the friction once he hits it. Uh-oh.
That one crosses over for the Brooklyn. We saw that quite a bit in the last couple days.
It's really not hard on the fresh. As more urethane gets used, that went more out of play. But today, when we got to the cashers round, there was relatively few players, maybe only 3, maybe 4 guys using it sporadically. And so there was much less hold in the middle of the lane. As the front of the lane started to break down, he moved left. If the ball crossed, if you were at 7-8 at the 32-foot mark, it had no chance. It would just look like it got drop kicked.
Greg Young needs to take advantage of that break to get himself back in this match. He can cut the deficit to 31 with a strike here. A little high, 4-pin.
And that's a residual from the gutter ball. He's not going to get it that close to the gutter from here on in.
Not like Tommy last week, who had the nerves of steel and had no problem getting it out there again.
Well,
it kind of bit him, but he ended up winning.
Yeah, I think he threw a slight miss on the right lane that went in the gutter. The one on the left lane was that was, I think he would say, was just an unforced error in a spot where it wasn't needed. So, Kyle Troup keeping his 41-pin lead and have a chance to really ice this opening round match.
Yeah, a couple of strikes here in the 7th and the 8th. He'll be up by 61 and in the driver's seat down the home stretch of game number 1 of our Stepladder finals. Shawn Rash waiting for the winner. Oh, the 9-pin gets kicked around, and it is the front 7 for Kyle Troup.
Small move off that. He's throwing a ton of surface on this pitch black, and so the front of the lane could be breaking down just a little bit. He thought that was fine too, and it actually hooked, so he'll make a small move next time. With reactive, I would say it'd be 2, because it seemed like his moves for everything were 2, but maybe a little less with pitch black. Now the tendency here is on this one is to not catch it as much because you almost 9-pinned. See if he can forget about that and make his best shot again.
And it's left of target, 3, 6, 9, 10. The string of strikes is over. And this is a difficult spare.
This is no fun at all, and he's going to try and throw his plastic ball at it, which means he's actually going to move right.
Does he go dead straight at it with the plastic, or does he hope it hooks a little bit?
A little bit, because you still got to try and get to the 9-pin.
Going to hook it from the outside and covers it up. That's an interesting approach to that spare.
Well, it doesn't make him move into the flat part of the lane where all the free friction is. It lets him basically just move off the strike ball. Obviously, this is the plan. He had a move in mind from the get-go. There was no indecision. Full commitment and well executed.
So max score for Greg Young is now 239. Kyle Troup is pacing ahead of that.
256.
So really a must strike the next couple of shots here for Greg to have any chance to get back in this match. Oh! Messenger comes across and misses behind the 10-pin. The ball looked like it kind of labored a little bit at the end there.
Yeah, it caught a little wiggle down there right around the break point. He got started before the end of the pad around 30 feet, but right about here. It had started to turn up towards him earlier in the game. That had run over the 8-pin. That's a little bit of the residual effect of urethane being thrown at the same time.
Gets the spare, but still trails by 46.
That's really unfortunate. He's bowled a very good game, and basically just no chance. He's bowled against a guy who's, I mean, I guess except for Shawn, probably had the best look on the fresh of anyone. So it's setting up for a true heavyweight early on here, where the two guys with the best look on the fresh are going to battle it out next round.
But another great week for Greg Young. Do you think that his making 2 shows, in your opinion as a voter for Rookie of the Year, does that equal what Michael Holloman did at the Masters where he finished 2nd, or does Greg Young still have work to do?
I'd have to look at the full body of
Yeah.
work. 2nd at a major is a huge deal, no doubt. I would imagine total money will come into play, and as well as points and those kind of things. Players out here, I think, value points a lot, and so that will go into the overall effect.
Yeah, and Greg's not very high on the points list. He was pretty far down. I think he was 5th or 6th amongst the rookies. But this will help. This is going to boost him a little bit, although it is a Tier 3 points event this week.
It is a relatively short format, and so he will not get a ton of points, but you start getting the top 5, that's where the separation happens.
Well, Troup pretty much has this match in hand now. Gets another strike. Does he use the 10th frame here to do anything to prepare him for the next match? Because he won't get any practice after this.
He won't, and I think he's probably going to grab his reactive ball at some point, maybe just on the fill ball. I believe a phase 2 is his plan, which is much like that Hero, is another low RG symmetrical bowling ball that's going to allow him to blend out that friction as he cuts with steep angles going left to right.
It is mathematically over now. Kyle Troup has advanced. We'll bowl Shawn Rash. Oh! Headbutted the... Oh, here we go. Time to pick it out for the fans.
Hate to waste one there. when it's already over, you just soon leave that 10 pin on that one, I think.
Well, look at the bottom of the head pin come across, and oh, it's not the head pin, is it? Might have been the 4 pin, I'm sure. And they're going to fast track the end of this match here. Shawn Rash, hometown favorite, coming up next in our second match of the Stepladder. Kyle Troup leaves a 2-8. Doesn't look like he's, pardon the pun, doing any fishing out there here in this final frame. Do you think he should have maybe tried to throw a different ball on that second shot in the 10th, or is he so good with that?
He's going to here. I think his idea was to double and get a full rack. So
he's going to take a little look here. That ball hooked a little much.
Yeah, he's not ready. Obviously, after shooting 260, he's not looking to change balls anyway. But you don't know when you might get another opportunity.
So Kyle Troup advances 264 to 206. And we're bowling the second match of our Stepladder coming up next. So Shawn Rash is going to get some practice here, and you see Shawn stretching his back out. He has some back issues. You see him roll on his back all the time, don't you, Chris, out here?
Oh, he's not as young as he once was, which is literally the case for everyone. But, yeah, time and a few nagging injuries have come into play. And now in his late 30s, there's things don't stay as limber as they used to. Had a few hand issues and fought his way through those, and now obviously is back on the good side of things.
As they say, Chris, Father Time is undefeated.
He is undefeated.
But Shawn's got a lot of good years left ahead of him, I think. He's having a really, really good season on tour this year. He's made quite a few shows. This is his third show in the last 4 events.
Well, and I think one of the things that has happened as things cycle through and evolutions happen, and there's been an opportunity to play a little bit further right, and when that avenue's been available, I think obviously he is one of the players that's very good at taking advantage of that. Our semifinalist is also excellent at taking advantage of that.
Yes.
And so
and it looks like Shawn is attempting early on here to throw the same ball that Greg Young threw, a Brunswick Hero.
Yeah, he's been in between a melee jab and a Hero. The jab is a little bit higher RG. Gets him a little bit more down lane reaction. The jab the Hero is a little lower RG for him. And so we'll blend it a little bit more.
First event of the week here at the FloBowling PBA Summer Swing. We're going to award 3 titles in the coming days. You've got the Wolf Open tonight. The Bear Open starts tomorrow with the Stepladder on Thursday night. And then we go into the Illinois Open on Friday and Saturday, and we'll award that title on Saturday afternoon. You can find the full schedule at flowbowling.com. Well, full coverage for you of every round.
And what is the Illinois Open, you might ask? Well, wait, I'll tell you.
Please do.
It is literally a culmination of the Wolf and the Bear. And the top 24 finalists in there will bowl a round-robin match play, where they will bowl with the short pattern on the right lane, which is the Wolf, and the Bear pattern on the left lane, and alternate back and forth. It's literally a mixed tournament.
And I have to say, as a bowling fan, it's fun to watch that. Do you guys enjoy it as competitors, having that additional challenge of a different pattern on each lane?
I think one of the things that's been interesting as we bowl it is how many less ball changes happen because you only have half the shots on a lane. And so actually you end up with less transition because you have less guys changing balls and moving deep, super quick and making these giant moves because they don't get to bowl, they don't get to try it on both lanes.
Interesting. Well, we'll be watching for that that dual pattern competition coming up on Friday and Saturday here in Aurora.
And certainly what happens is if you get somebody that finishes great on the wolf pattern and then hangs on the bear to make it, they're probably going to struggle in match play because you have to be able to bowl on both of them.
I believe this is Shawn's last shot, if I heard correctly.
Sounds right. And I don't think he loved his practice session. Threw several different balls in there as we look at our Stepladder finals.
Yeah, we've got the number 5 seed Kyle Troup taking on the number 3 seed Shawn Rash in match number 2. Norm Duke, always a fan favorite in the semifinal. And then Anthony Simonsen waiting to bowl for the title. It would be Simonson's 7th career title at age 22 if he could win again here this week. And he is the defending champion, by the way. We'll talk more about that later. And why it may not be as relevant this year as it was last year. Little tease ahead there. Kyle Troup. Looks like he is going to start the match, perhaps. Troup with 264 in the opening game. Do you think he needs that much in this one? Oh, he's going to stop.
I don't think so. I think there's going to be a little transition and some other things going on. Shawn could have got it all dialed in there at the end of practice, but it appeared that there's a little bit of indecision. He hasn't quite got both lanes figured out, and so he's going to have to make a couple of guesses in the first couple of frames, and that will tell a lot of the story.
Remember, Troup did not get any practice after that last match. Ball goes just past the 9-pin. He did that a little bit earlier. It's a little adjustment, you think, right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, old school adjustment would be just a half or so. I imagine Kyle will probably move at least one more. That ball got further right than a lot of his shots did in the opening match. And very likely that's just an after effect of Shawn getting 6 shots and creating just a little bit more hook there where he's trying to lay it down.
So Troup on the board with a spare. Now Shawn Rash, who is, without question, I think the fan favorite here tonight. He lives in this area. He's the host this week. The fans have been pulling for him all day, and I would expect we'll hear some loud cheers if he starts to do well.
All right.
And you could hear it. You hear some people saying yes in the crowd, and you can definitely tell he's got this crowd behind him.
Well, you could tell all the way through the week, and this is a great opening shot. Perfectly crossing about the 11th board out to about 2-3 down the lane, trying to get it out there before the end of the pattern as close as you can to it, which is that 32-foot mark is where the end of the oil was applied, and he wants to be at 2-3 before he gets to the end of that, so he doesn't get caught by the carry down.
Chance for an early lead, and he delivers. 10-pin lead for Shawn Rash after a frame and a half.
Well, now the winning score average just went up.
Yeah.
Because the practice did not look fantastic, and both those shots looked very on purpose, and they went through the pins great. So that's probably the one part right there where Post is up that shot. Early on in his career, he did not do a lot of that, would make a lot of great shots and a few too many of others. And once he really worked on his footwork and his finish, where he started posting up shots, is when you saw that continual run at Player of the Year, year after year, and he made himself a fixture in the top 8, top 5, and top 3.
And Troup with a little bit of a lazy 10-pin there, and that you don't like to see that when you're throwing urethane. Do you think he just didn't get it, or is that a problem?
I mean, someone's just getting a little bit of feel back on things again, but certainly the first one runs the 8-pin over, the second one runs the 9-pin over. Yeah, that's not what he wants to see. They will let him be about as aggressive as he wants to be with that urethane ball. Got a little move left there, and I don't think he'll move back to the right on that other lane. I think he will go after it a little bit more.
And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because this is your territory, not mine. It looks like on that right lane, Troup was a little bit more left to right with the urethane ball. And could that be impacting his carry percentage a little bit?
Yeah, it could be, for sure. And like I said, generally speaking, the right lanes have been a little tighter in this building. That was certainly the way I had it every game, except for the very final game in the Cashers round. But that's
is it time to make a change?
It's the second time he's hit a spot there that at check time. I thought the second one, the 3-6-9-10, I didn't think was his best shot. This really didn't look from. Yeah, that doesn't look. That looked relatively close. And
is it time to make the change to reactive, you think, yet? Does he run the risk of
not
falling
yet.
too far behind?
I don't think he will yet. But
and he attempts to hook it at that from the right side, and that's not typically how you would shoot that spare, right?
Because two-handers, have so much rotation going across the lane on this short pattern, there's so much hook. It's a little bit unpredictable. That's actually a better way to go about it. But that tells you how much the front of the lane has changed. That's basically the same place he shot the 3-6-9-10 earlier, and that one overhooked, even his plastic ball.
Oh no! And Shawn Rash flushes it in the channel, and he could read it his lips, and he said something I won't say. Camera guy, and he is apparently distracted by the cameraman who's down lane, and that is the second gutter ball we have seen in this stepladder.
Chance to really put his foot on the throat there.
And he had a 25-pin lead before that shot, and now it has gone down quickly.
Very important to regroup here.
Whoa. Flirts with it again, but gets the spare.
That's true commitment to what you're trying to do there. That got close to getting away from him. Now he's just got to forget about it. He still has a lead. He's still in pretty good shape here. 15-pin lead despite a big mistake. And you don't get that opportunity very often. You'll see on that melee jab, really tall pin, but it is a little stronger than most of the pins he normally throws. He's trying to get it down the lane, and then he wants it to pick up, change directions, and go forward. That one went forward just a little bit too soon. Not much, maybe 6 to 9 inches too soon.
Still a 14-pin lead with the spare. Chris, when you have a situation like that where the photographer catches your eye on one frame, is it something that could become a problem, or do you just have to put it out of your mind?
It certainly can become a problem, but at the same point, he's way down there, and you just have to focus. And that's one of the things that surrounds TV shows is there's a lot of. It's not noise that bothers you; it's unusual noises that bother you. And in a normal bowling atmosphere during league, there's so much general racket that you would never hear a pin drop or a cough it's just white noise. But on a TV show where there's actually silence, it's the small things that you never hear the rest of the time that catch your ear and your attention. Yeah, he's in trouble now. That ball was super early too.
That ball picks up early, leaves a split. It is a 3-4-6-7-10 split.
Well, now he has to make a big move, which is 3 to 4 boards left with his feet, and I think that probably pushes him out of where he wants to be with that urethane ball. It's amazing how quickly that happened.
And he kind of looked up at the scoreboard after this and kind of shook his head yes at the scoreboard. I think that we're going to see a change soon.
Still a big. Wow, that picked up too.
So an open frame, back-to-back opens. Kyle Troup he is down by 26.
Yeah, he was sliding around 16, 17 maybe before. I imagine this time would be way closer to 25, 26.
He goes from shooting
And there you go.
the
There's
front
phase
7.
two.
Yeah, he's going to change balls. Goes from front 7, 260, to now disaster in 4 frames. It's amazing how quickly it can change.
It did. He's still within 25, so it's not, you know, the gutter ball spare. Had that been a strike, he would be in huge trouble right now.
So the big move here for Kyle Troup, will it pay off? Got it to the gutter, and it wobbled back and went back into the pocket.
If you get it matched up right, really getting into board 1 is the ideal, and it should pick up when it comes off it if you have it matched up right.
Take a look how close this ball gets to the gutter, and it just turns over enough. Another revolution to the right, and it's gone.
Yeah.
It hangs on.
Yeah, he needed that one to pick up a little, and then it almost overhooked.
It did.
News for him is he can probably move it again.
The ball put on the blinker. Rash quickly up. And he buries all 10 for the strike.
And that's really what he needed to do, is just block out the extra distractions. Tournament director Bobby Jacob did go down and talk to a photographer who did move, or did something that caught his attention the last time.
This is match number 2 of our Stepladder finals tonight here at the PBA Wolf Open. I'm Lucas Wiseman, senior editor of FloBowling, alongside PBA Hall of Famer Chris Barnes and USBC Hall of Famer. I don't want to, keep you from your accolades.
Just trying to catch my wife.
And 19-time champion, just like Tommy Jones, Chris Barnes. Shawn Rash.
I really like you. Wow, another ringing 10. There's 2 of them on that lane now.
So Rash seems to have good ball reaction, but just can't quite get the carry.
He's not having any trouble controlling the pocket, and this is what he did in every round. Is the early games, he had complete control of the pocket, and he's obviously executing very well with all the step ladders that he's made. Still up by 26, but this does give Kyle an opportunity with 2 more strikes to cut it to 6.
This is where we really find out if the ball change pays off for Kyle Troup. He got the strike last time. He needs to parlay that into a double and then a triple to get himself right back in this match.
That was me, because I think this right lane's a little bit tighter in general. I would stay in the same place I did on the other lane and execute the same shot.
A critical shot in this match. That ball hit hard. Wow. And if you're Kyle Troup, you're licking your chops right now.
Well, now you've answered the question, so you know what's out there. Now it's really a matter of execution. He does, I think, need to make a small move on this left lane. He got it all the way to the gutter and almost high. You certainly don't want that. You want to be able to create a little bit of hold there.
So Troup trails right now by 16. He can go from back-to-back opens to putting 3 strikes on the board and only being down by 6 if he strikes right here. Big shot here in the 7th frame. Ooh, and it comes roaring back for a 3-6-10.
Just a little bit inside of target there, and he was hoping it would hold.
Last time he almost threw it into the gutter. This time it's just a pinch left, and it was the face.
It only got to 6, but the bigger deal is it stopped skidding about 3 to 4 feet. And so had it skid as far as the last one did, it would have gotten to about 3 and would have been okay. But he got to the end of by the time he got to the end of the pattern, he was only at 6. 6 is no good. Your national tournament director, Kirk Von Kruber.
Yep.
Shawn up by 19.
Shawn with a strike last time on this lane. And another 10-pin. That is his 3rd 10-pin of this game.
He is. He does have a few of those balls. He's had a little rotation that he's worked around. And after 3 of them, now it has to start going through your head. Each guy kind of, by this time, we bowled 3 different blocks, and so you've gone through the transition a few times. You've kind of figured out what you want to do and maybe what doesn't work. Now, is it a hand position or is it a ball change? And that's what's going on right there. What do I want to do? Do I change balls? How far am I ahead? Risk versus reward. Do I need to shoot 220, 230? Or if I catch another double, 2-0 is enough. 2-0 is enough, throw the same ball.
These are the decisions that make or break your tournament right
They
here.
do. Well, right here, you're micromanaged because you're down to the end. I mean, Troup can only shoot 210, so can I throw a three-bagger with this ball and shut him out?
Oh, that's
Oh, no.
way left. And he knew
Lucky.
it right away. He said, oh, God, as soon as he let it go.
Yeah.
And he crosses over, leaves the 3-pin. What happened on this one?
Well, this is just trying to make one strike. He's going to try and grab it a little bit more and make it come off there and get through the pins. And never. He just slams the shoulder shut. You can see that once that shoulder rolls forward, it's almost impossible to throw it to the right.
Cleans it up. Still leads by 17.
Yeah, he's starting to lose a little bit of that count to where he could, if Kyle would get another bad count, it's basically effectively another double. But with Shawn on 197 pace, Troup has 210 left.
Who has the better ball reaction right now?
Shawn to get to the pocket, Kyle to strike.
Let's see if Kyle can execute here.
Well, he gets to finish on that lane. But this is going to be the one that tells the story. He has to strike here to really put some pressure on. He can strike here, shoots 210. Now he puts all of it back on Shawn to have to strike in the 9th, 10th, and 11th to shut him out. Otherwise, he would let Kyle have the opportunity to have ball in hand to win.
And considering that Rash has only struck once in the last 4 frames.
Yeah, only one's been a bad shot, though. So I think one missed the pocket. They've all been ringing 10s. They're not even, I guess, remotely. It's whether he can blank that out and just go, all right, I'm just going to execute the shot and trust that they're going to be enough different that it'll get there a different way. Pretty tough to make a ball change in the 9th frame.
Well, it appears that Troup's ball change back in the 5th frame was the right move.
It is.
And now, can he make a better shot on this left lane to cut the deficit down to 7?
Went all the way there, and it went light.
Comes up light. That's the first time we've seen that out of Troup, and he lets out a roar after that.
He made sure it got over there hard, and that one, I think he's shocked it didn't come off. But after the one that roared back, way back in the 5th frame, and basically ran the 5-pin over, I don't think there's any way he thought that would be light once it got to the first board. Puts his max score at 190. Now Shawn knows he doesn't need to strike. No need to change balls. Now just execute, hit the pocket 2 more times and make the spares.
Just
As
stay
worst
clean,
case,
right?
yeah. 10 pin's a 10 pin.
That looks like a better shot out of Rash, and he's a mark away from advancing.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Any mark will do here in the 10th frame to lock it up.
The big difference here is this doesn't have to strike. So now he can just concentrate on pushing the ball through to his target. Goes half pocket, that's fine. Provided it doesn't make a 7-10.
Worry about the next game later. Just try to get out of this match with a win. There it is. Shawn Rash advances into the semifinal against Norm Duke.
And now you will see a ball change.
Absolutely. You got to take advantage of these opportunities when you're not going to have any practice shots. And here's the clinching shot reaction. Yep.
Say that he's still got it. He cannot throw it in the gutter here. And it did not get very close to the gutter by the standards that he's been throwing at. So
He did not paint it.
now he is officially.
Please give it up one more time for Kyle Troup.
Now
Goes back to your thing.
Well, he's answered the question for himself, and I actually respect that a lot. you'll be faced with different situations again, and you have to decide what you want to do. He is going to get to, I mean, most likely, unless he really struggles on the wolf pattern, he will be in the round robin for the Illinois Open, so he's going to see this pattern again. Which way does he want to play once that transition happens? Decided to try firmer and Adam, but that was a little left there, so I'm not sure I learned much.
Just wrapping up here our game. Semifinal coming up next. Shawn Rash strikes out for 217. Hey, Kyle Troup gets the split. Anthony can't give him 5 because he's got his hands full. But it's 180 for Kyle Troup. 217, 180, the final score here in our second match. The semifinal coming up next. Shawn Rash going to take on Norm Duke, while Anthony Simonsen takes a few shots as well. And we'll be back in just a moment here live on FloBowling. See here, Kirk Von Kruger giving away a bowling pin to a lucky fan there during this break. I'm Lucas Wiseman alongside Hall of Famer Chris Barnes. And we are at Parkside Lanes in Aurora, Illinois. If you don't know where Aurora is, it feels like forever, but it's only about an hour and a half away from downtown Chicago, depending on traffic. And here's a look at our Stepladder finals. It was Kyle Troup, 264-206 over Greg Young. Shawn Rash defeats Kyle Troup, 217-180. Now we set up for what is going to be an epic semifinal and championship. Norm Duke against Shawn Rash, the winner to bowl Anthony Simonsen for the title. Norm Duke still going strong, isn't he? He's got 2 titles this year, and he is he's still sharp, isn't he?
He is, and competing as much as he has on the PBA 50 Tour has kept number of games that he's played very high. And I mean, his footwork, his swing is timeless, and so as long as he doesn't have injuries going on, he's going to be he's going to be one of the most accurate players in the field. He's going to want to be one of the best repeaters in the field.
I talked to him last night just very briefly after he finished 4th in the qualifying round 1, and I said, Norm, how you feeling? Because he's had some lingering physical injuries. He said, man, I'm feeling good physically, but mentally I'm just worn out. I'm bowling too much. So he's been bowling a lot, bowling both tours, made almost every stepladder that he bowled in the senior tour, and here he is again, making another show, looking for his 3rd title of the season, which would just be simply incredible for a bowler of his age.
Ironically, I believe the other 2 were both mixed.
They were
pattern.
Mixed patterns, which could bode well for him in the Illinois Open if he can bowl well on better.
Obviously, he's off to a great start, so he's going to be at the top up there, and a guy who's renowned for his his versatility, and to some extent his lower rev rate on those mixed patterns means he doesn't have to change his angles as extremely as some of the higher rev rate players.
Well, here we go, opening match of our semifinal. That looks good for Rash.
I'll wait to confirm, but I'm pretty sure that's a ball change. That looks like one of the shinier melee jabs that he has. And so that will come off the spot a little bit harder. And he's hoping the lane's developed enough to catch it as it goes to the right.
So our first look at Norm Duke. Ageless style goes a little high, and it's disaster in the opening frame for Norm. So he leaves the 410 split, and I bet you he's going to the tape. Nope, he's going to the spare ball. You never know with him.
There's something, he was looking off to the right, like he was a little bit bewildered or caught off by something.
Got a chance.
Ooh.
Oh! Tickled it, but it didn't go down. Open frame for Duke. Take a look at this replay and watch this 4-pin go back to the curtain and bounce off. It just touched it.
Ooh.
But he trails by 11 already, and we're only 1 frame in. Norm Duke's average this week, 229.1 over the course of 20 games. Better looking shot out of Duke.
A little more shape than he was playing a lot of times, particularly in that last Cashers round. He stayed away from more of the traffic, kind of no-handed it a little bit more, and stayed outside of 5, even at lay down and through the arrows. Well, actually, that pin looks very similar to what he had before, so.
Double from Rash. And a very, very early 21-pin lead.
Hard to throw 2 openers better than that one, than those 2 right there.
Now there's a look at Duke.
Around 6-7.
Yeah, that was from before. Bonus Norm Duke replay. You can never go wrong with extra Norm Duke replays. Here's Rash, 3rd frame. He's perfect so far. That 6-pin went around the 10 really fast.
Hard ringing 10 again.
How do you fix that?
Well, I mean, the couple of moves you can go like a couple left and throw it a little slower, which gets the ball a little bit deeper before it goes into its roll. You can change a hand position and add more axis rotation, but on a short pattern, that really gets eliminated because the ball overreacts off this 28 feet of dry too much.
So here's Norm Duke. He's down by 20. Working on a strike, looking to cut it to 10. And he leaves a ring 10.
Boy, that was an ace right there, too.
Just never gets old watching Norm Duke bowl, does it? One of the greats, all-time greats.
So it really depends on whether you're competing against him or you're just watching him from back here.
For me, it never gets old. For you, it makes you a little lighter.
I got tired of it about 15 years ago. One of the greatest all time, and like I said, I think he is, moved his name up into the top 3, and he seems to be timeless. So he's still adding titles on this, on the national tour. And
I mean, think about it, 40 titles. That is a lot of titles.
I mean, he's sneaking up, has an opportunity actually to catch Earl and go by him. And if he does that, you certainly could make the case to move him up into 2nd. Plenty of majors in there.
I personally would consider Norm the best tactician there has ever been in bowling. He is very, very versatile. And it's been fun to watch over the years, and fun to watch even today. Here's Shawn Rash, 4th frame. He asked for it to carry, and it does. It's still up by 20 after 4. So we'll see if he makes any slight adjustment. It might be hard to even tell if he makes any adjustment after leaving that ring 10 on this lane. Last frame.
He actually is using 2 different balls. Not much different in pin. The pin's a little stronger on the one he's using on the right lane, and he's using a shinier one with about a 1/2 to 1 inch weaker pin on this left lane. The idea is that it gets through the pins and goes through them a little more left to right and gets away from that ringing 10.
Now a 30-pin lead for Shawn Rash. Take a look at the replay.
Great shot here, crossing 12 out to about the 2nd board. That time got all the way through, got that 6 into the 10.
It looks like that ball gets really far down the lane for him on this short pattern. That seems to be pretty key.
Yeah, it's really, even though it's because it doesn't have 2 colors, you don't see the part where it starts to pick up and change directions. It starts to pick up a roll, and so it looks, as 1-color balls look like they go much longer than 2-color or 3-color balls.
And Duke with a double now. And we are back to a 20-pin match. Duke is not going to be easy to beat. That's always been the case.
The trickiest thing for a guy who has as much feel as Norm is getting out of that first couple of frames and getting his feel on this TV pair. And so if you give him a break early, it's normally bad news. Shawn has done his job. He got out to an early lead. And here he comes.
Great shot. 6-pin takes out the 10. And Norm Duke is right in this match, only down by 10. We have got a great match in progress here in our semifinal. Ooh, Rash known for balking, and he balks there. We actually did a piece with Rash on FloBowling about his balking. If you want to check that out, you can just, I think if you just go to FloBowling and search balking, you'll find it, because we haven't written anything else about it. But he's known for this. He doesn't feel right. He says, don't do it. And just stop.
For the most parts, and here on FloBowling, there isn't technically a shot clock violation or fine, so
we're a little more laid back. Oh! If the 6 hadn't taken care of the 10, the messenger would have. And that is another strike for Shawn Rash. 3 in a row. He pushes that lead back to 20.
And this is a hallmark on the pairs that have had a little urethane and a little play on him. He gets it in just a little. It gets to the spot, but it gets there a couple of feet later, gets in behind the head pin. And that time, instead of leaving a ringing 10, he actually got the 6 to tap it, but had he not, the head pin was coming back across to take care of it.
And you saw he kind of tried to calm himself down a little bit after that shot. You know, I think that Rash can sometimes be very emotional, can let his emotions show, and I think he realizes that. And he's just trying to settle.
Well, it's one of the things that gets him in trouble a little bit. He used it as a young player and fed into that, and when you can throw the ball really hard, that works for him. But when he has to touch it a little bit, it's way more important to keep it the same emotional level throughout so you can repeat the shots you want.
And Rash crushes another strike.
That balk was worth the wait. Moves his lead back up to 20 pins.
So now Norm Duke has got to keep striking.
I think he's going to hit the pocket every shot from now on to see whether he can get out the corner pins all the way through.
Good shot. Another strike for Duke, and he is not going away. He's going to make Shawn Rash earn every bit of this.
Looked like he stuck a little bit on that shot, kind of forced it up in there.
Pretty easy to tell the difference on the scoreboard right now with both players striking. 20-pin lead for Rash. 3 frames to go. Well, he pured that. That was the best shot he's thrown in this entire match, without question. You could just see by the way the ball rolled down the lane how great it was.
Yeah, you see, open-handed release. He's not really trying to touch the holes very much. He's trying to create a little bit of axis rotation so it changes directions, but he's not trying to make it hook in the front because he's in the middle of race traffic.
Oh no, he almost threw it in the gutter. The crowd thought it was going in, but Shawn Rash says not so fast, my friend. This one's gonna strike.
Last time was in a little bit long. This one crossed 11. Really wasn't as close to going in as we thought it was. The last shot of that lane being a little bit in, I think, probably changed the angles and the perception, but that's way closer to what he's trying to do.
Shawn Rash in good shape.
Still on the ball change. Well, at 20 pins, a miss means that Norm will have a chance.
But he has work to do. 9th frame.
Great shot.
That's another one. It is a strike fest here in the semifinal. Chris, did you expect so many strikes here?
I mean, 2 great players bowling on their, playing to their strengths. Obviously, Shawn was lined up, got through a match where he struggled with a little carry, was able to make a ball change. Norm with a couple of, an early error, and now since then has been exactly what you would expect.
So here's the situation. Correct me if I'm wrong. Duke strikes out. It forces Rash to throw the first one. And that's not going to happen. 6-pin fell asleep in the gutter, and he leaves the 10, and that is just about it for Norm.
Yeah, that's basically it there. He's had a little shaker on that right lane. It doesn't come off the gutter quite as much for him as it does on the left lane. Again, that lane has been tighter, and that's where it's been tighter is down lane.
He's doing the math.
Yeah, he can't see a way where it's going to work out. Max score 238 now. Shawn's going to have to keep it on the lane the first ball, and that's all he's going to need.
Yeah, Duke can strike out 238. Rash can strike out for 279. So you can just tell based on those max scores that it's not going to happen for Norm
Duke
tonight.
like 6 on his first ball, maybe 7 on his first ball.
But he's got to strike out to have any chance at all. And another 10-pin.
Yeah, just not quite as much axis rotation on that one, but maybe not quite as much hard in there. I mean, in theory, yes, it could happen, but there's...
It's so tough. He was in such a tough position. But Norm Duke, a great start to this FloBowling Summer Swing, and we'll see him tomorrow in Bear Open qualifying. And
in super position for the finals already, so.
He is always a threat and probably will be a threat in the Bear Open and then also in the Illinois Open as well.
Almost certainly.
227 the final for Norm Duke. If you're Shawn Rash, I mean, you could shoot 279 here. It doesn't look like he's going to try anything new. He's just chucking it up the middle of the lane. Is he trying to not mess up his look? Or
yeah,
what's going on
he doesn't want anything to change at this point. So I think a mistake that a lot of players do make is this match is over, and so all right, I'll throw one kind of half intensity, half whatever, but you don't get any more shots. So it's every shot needs to be the same, in my opinion, so that you keep the same feel, you keep the same rhythm.
But that 10th frame indicates to us Shawn Rash is very happy with his ball reaction, and he doesn't plan to change anything.
Well, that's the one that makes sure that he had enough pins to win now for sure, because he threw it in the gutter. Now he'll throw the shot that he wants to throw for the next game, and that was actually the other ball, the same one he's throwing on the left lane. You can tell it's a little shinier, and it got too long and didn't go through him, so he's not going to switch balls.
So a 257-227 win for Shawn Rash in the semifinal, and he will face Anthony Simonsen in our championship match coming up. Our new FloBowling documentary, Simonson, Leave It Behind, debuts September 4th at noon Eastern Time. We had a special player premiere a couple of days ago. Here's a look at how it went. First off, thank you, all of you. It means a lot that you guys came. We appreciate it. We've put a lot of hard work, sweat, tears into this film, but we really appreciate you guys coming out here. Enjoy. Simonson, Leave It Behind.
We watched the Anthony Simonsen Leave It Behind documentary. I cried for the last 10 minutes of the video. I wasn't really quite prepared for all of that, but
you know, it was masterfully done, and I think that you got to see the real Anthony, and I think that a lot of people, when they get to know him, will love him like I do.
You know, there's a lot of 20-somethings out there, but his road is a little tougher than most. I thought I did a good job of showing some of that and why he's, you know, in some ways much more mature than the average young player.
What'd you think?
So it almost like taking a walk down memory lane, you know, not only with the movie itself, but processing, you know, everything through my head as I'm telling the story. And I'm looking forward to what you guys are going to do, you know, not only with myself, but the rest of the tour players in the future.
Bowling is an incredible sport to watch when you care about the competitors. And so having an opportunity to teach more people about who these guys are, these great players, who they are, will generate more fans that have the kind of rooting interest and the kind of the drama that the PBA bowling provides will just be even sharper when you really know who these guys are.
From when I talk to everybody enjoys it, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the public has to say about it on September 4th.
And I really hope that all the bowling fans, all the FloBowling subscribers, make sure to put it on the calendar, September 4th, for the debut of Simonson.
You can't go back and change what has already happened. Leave it in the past.
So there you have it. That's a look at our premiere that we had a couple of nights ago. Chris, you were featured in that video. Film looked pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I thought it was a great insight to a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of different 22-year-olds out and around, and several of them on tour, but literally none of them, I think, are as streetwise and as seasoned, I guess, as Anthony is. And it does tell a lot of the story about his path, that even at such a young age, it has not been that short a path.
It was a very emotional interview that I did with Anthony back in May, and he really opened up and told us a lot about his background and the struggles that he had growing up, and really just a great story to see him kind of get out of that situation that he was in and really excel at what he does. And I won't give it away, but he tells a story in this documentary about how a moment that springboarded his career that I think people will be interested in. And you'll be able to watch that again September 4th. That's a Wednesday at noon Eastern time. Go on your calendar, block off that lunch break, and make sure you're tuning in. It will also be available on demand after the fact, but a live premiere, so we can all talk about it on social media, and it'll be great. So be looking for that on September 4th. And we promise we won't promote it anymore after this. There's Shawn Rash looking at some replays from earlier matches.
Yeah, I think he really made a great ball change on that left lane. The lane there, he had all the ringing 10s on, and that was really the difference in the match. He was able to force Norm to have to strike every shot. Just making quality shots wasn't enough. He was going to have to make, great ones each time. And as is the case when, as great a shot maker as Norm is, his rev rate versus the rest of these guys' rev rate, he's going to have to be more precise and hit the pocket better. And ultimately, the first frame is the one that that really separated him out. He was never able to close that deficit.
Kirk Von Kruger introducing the match here. Anthony Simonsen against Shawn Rash. You're going to hear the crowd cheer here in a second. Rash looking for his 14th career PBA Tour title. Rash, this is his third championship match in 4 events, and he has finished second in the previous 2. Anthony Simonsen looking for his 7th career PBA Tour title. He won earlier this year at the PBA Players Championship.
I don't expect the path to get a lot easier today. Shawn is lined up, but Anthony did get several shots, and Anthony's actually going to be probably a little bit left of where Shawn is. I thought he was going to throw an idle. It looks like he's going to go with a idle pearl.
Simonsen busts all through the pins there and gets a strike to kick things off. He was really strong in the qualifying leading up to this today, and
he was making
really solid.
Huge moves back and forth. Your thing to not watch this ball run the 8-pin over.
For Shawn Rash, does that ball reaction concern you a little bit?
I think with Shawn's ball reaction, he should feel like it's in his own hands. If he executes his game plan, he's going to have a really good chance of winning this game. I think there has been a tendency, at least several years back, to get distracted by all the outside elements, whether it's TV cameras or crowd or opponents and all this kind of thing, and not focus enough on, what makes him a great player, and just executing his own game plan regardless of what else is around him. And it's much easier said than done. But the closer he stays to that, the better the results are.
Did get the strike there. 10-pin lead. We'll take another look at it here.
Yeah. 11 out to 3. That one actually overhooked off of it. That's always the fear when you come back after somebody else has had shots and you had a little break and the lanes settle down for a minute, is that they're going to hook more when you get to them.
Anthony Simonsen, a 234.55 average.
He really ran away from a little bit. Almost 5 pins a game higher than norm.
Simo blasts the rack again.
Yeah, that
Just
lane,
blew it up.
That lane being a little tighter down lane, they feel the same going through the front. You can see both players. You need the same amount of angle, but once it gets there, it's just lazier off of it.
It certainly feels like this is going to be a very high-scoring championship match, but that could change.
I think the key again, I mean, much like it was for Norm, if Anthony can strike on the right lane, you know, if he's going to have to make a small move, and I don't think it'll be right. I think he'll do it with his hand, as is generally the case for today's player. He's going to have to make it get through the pins, or Shawn's going to have some airs.
Oh, no. And our third gutter ball of the show. Anthony Simonsen tosses one in the channel on the double.
Well, you could hear him as soon as he threw it. Uh-oh. And that's just too sideways, too quick. Yeah, there wasn't... had he not thrown it so hard, he would have turned around before it got in the gutter, I believe, but...
Well, Rash threw a gutter earlier tonight, and he was able to overcome that. So it's not something that can eliminate.
It seems to be a precursor to winning more than losing, it seems lately.
Yes.
Tommy had 2, although it did not work out quite as well for Greg.
And
now that's
10-pin.
huge there, though.
Open frame for Simonsen, 48 in the third.
Yeah, that's...
Shawn Rash leads by 22 pins, bowling third frame.
Huge swing there. If that's ring 10 spare, it's looking at 69 instead of 48, so a 21 pin error basically. Now Shawn's job is to basically execute his plan and take advantage.
Rash pitches it right, he gets the strike. 32 pin lead for Shawn Rash.
Shawn wearing his traditional black and gold, paying homage to our Wichita State background. And that was, again, once you see anybody walking away left, you know it was a great shot.
What a story it would be if Shawn Rash could win as the host of this event with the crowd behind him. He's up by 32. And a 10-pin. You see the replay
really
here.
good shot. Got it out to 3 again. It got just a little bit deep in the pattern. By deep, it got a little too far down the lane. Came in behind it. With that shinier ball, he's got to get that one started a little bit more so it goes through the pins. Whereas the other one picks up a little sooner and then he has to make it keep going.
Well, there's a 31-pin lead for Rash now. And if you're Anthony Simonsen, you're kind of having a deep sigh of relief that Rash gave you a chance and didn't keep striking.
Yeah, he at least provided a small opening. But down 31. That's kind of where Norm started out. It got behind and then just had to play catch up the whole time. And Shawn having such good control of the pocket, it just makes it very difficult. That shot was a little bit in.
Last time on this left lane, Simonsen chucked it in the channel. Sometimes that can play with your mind a little bit.
Well, it doesn't matter what level you are, whether you're a beginning recreational bowler or the best player on tour, you don't want to throw a gutter ball and it will put up a flag.
No gutter this time, just a perfect strike.
But that is a great executed shot right there. That was good projection.
Rash's lead is 21.
Trajectory. It got up. This one gets right back out there to about the second board again.
So Simonson with that strike pulls to within 21.
For Shawn, this shot's big just from a count standpoint to keep that extra pin.
And he flirts with the gutter, and it goes high, leaves a 4-pin.
It's actually a little bit of a surprise there. I didn't.
He got that right pretty early, it looked like.
He did, but with that stronger pin on that ball, that's been the one that it will stop before it overhooks generally. The whole purpose of throwing it is, and sometimes taking that little flatter angle through the pins, the occasional 10 pin, is that it allows you to throw it at the gutter and it hooks off of it, but it won't overhook off of it.
Rash taking a look at the bowling balls. I think he's trying to make sure he's got the right one in his hand.
Yeah,
They're so similar.
Yeah, the pin's basically the one you can see on the rack. It's about 1.5 inches higher above the fingers, and it's about another 1/2 inch to the right. But the bigger
Pretty
difference
close,
is
though.
the surface difference. One looks like it's smooth, probably 2000, and this one's, whoa.
The crowd oohs and ahs as he sends a messenger in front of the 5, but it didn't matter. It was going down anyway.
And that looks like 2000 of polish right there. And so it does have a little sharper change of direction. But this, again, this is really close. And we've seen balls go in on this lane. That is the lane that everybody's thrown one in on, I believe, so far.
It is a 20-pin lead for Shawn Rash. If
However,
Simonson can pop a couple of strikes, we're all tied up. It's a big shot. Wow, that hit hard.
It did, and he didn't have to get it that close to the gutter, and it still looked right. Didn't threaten to go high. Most players, when they've got it into that 5-6 range down lane, it's overhooked, and that one stayed right there, no problem.
The ball went through the pins like a Mack truck. That is some devastating.
Cut the lead back down to 10. Chance now to draw even with a strike here and really start putting the pressure back on Shawn to have to strike each time versus just throwing good shots.
A great championship match here in Aurora. Simonson to even the match. Oh! That is a terrible break as he gets ripped off with the 410. You don't see that every day.
No,
That's
this is
brutal.
Yeah, this is just a straight 4-pin, and
A little high on this shot.
oh yeah, it's high. It's 4-pin high,
A little high, but the 10 stays up.
but the 3-6 did something really funny over there, and
Got to give it a run here. No, open frame.
well, just as he was crawling back even there, now it's really flipped it around. Max score 224. Shawn on 218 pace.
So it's a 24-pin lead for Shawn Rash.
So he can feel the adrenaline. He knows this is opportunity. This is where he really has to keep himself calm and just execute the best shot. It's not about over trying now, it's executing.
To extend the lead to 34. Got it. Shawn Rash, one step closer to Title 14.
Boy, that was a no-doubter there. Really good. Posted up, right to 2. Never in danger of going in, never in danger of going high.
Shawn Rash's last singles title came in 2017 in Middletown, Delaware. He won earlier this year the PBA Doubles Championship with Matt Ogle. The strike here allows him to continue to control his own destiny in the final couple frames. carries it and lets out a marvelous yell. Rash up by 44.
Rash by 44. Simonson bowling 8th frame.
Really good shot again. Just slightly. He didn't get all the way out to it, but he was so clean through it, and you watch the fall through go right up through his ear.
Simonson, you can tell by the body language that he kind of realizes this is over for him. Simonson's max 224, and Rash pacing much higher than that. He can max at 268.
Yeah, pacing at 238. We've seen some crazy things happen here. You never want to say never.
Simonson will want to get a strike here just in case something crazy goes on in the next couple of frames for Rash.
A small glimmer.
Got a chance, you never know.
That one almost overhooked off of it also.
Rash is up by 34.
Moved a little more left and still almost went high.
A strike here seals it. He'd be up by 44 going into the final frame.
Yeah, effectively it.
Rash gets the strike, and Shawn Rash is the winner. With a little bit more work here in the final frame, he will claim the title in the event that he has helped organize.
This one's going down the middle.
Going right up the middle.
So it's the only thing that can happen now is basically getting done.
What a moment for Shawn Rash. He finally gets title 14 after being so close 2 of the last 3 weeks here on the PBA Tour.
Had a couple of slip away from his grip. He'll be happy to finish one out, and once that starts to happen, I know from a low experience, it can kind of gain its own life. And so, great job by Shawn finishing out this match.
Shawn Rash, what a story here in Aurora. The hometown crowd cheering for him all the way, and he delivers in a big way here tonight. 257 for Shawn Rash as he takes down Anthony Simonsen and gets look at this, a great moment. Shawn getting a big hug from his daughter. And the family celebrates a hometown victory for Shawn Rash. Simonson ends up 193. Has to be an emotional win tonight for Shawn Rash, and you can see it on his face. Finally got the job done after a couple of close opportunities in recent weeks. You can tell how proud his daughter is there in the background with his wife, Sarah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it one more time for these great five bowlers. What a fantastic show tonight.
And there's Mom. Mom comes in for the hug. Dad's here somewhere. There he is.
Shawn, we're all really proud of you here. We're proud of you every day. We're really proud of you right now. Thank you for being such a great friend and everything you do to me, to all of us, to everybody here, all your fans. You really earned it, buddy. Congratulations.
Shawn, you've been close here recently in the last couple of years. Had a couple go the wrong way. Any of that could you get today?
Absolutely. I've been told I wasn't good enough for the last 2 years. And, this is for the haters. Motivation, believing in myself. When I first came out, I believed in myself. I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Confidence goes a long way in any individual sport. You were one of my mentors. This one's for my family.
Wolf champion, winning in front of his own crowd, Shawn Rash.
And Shawn Rash clearly emotional as he's going to, looks like, invite his family out for a picture. You can tell just how much this means to him and his family to win this event in his hometown. Well, that's going to do it for tonight here from Aurora, Illinois. One last look at our Stepladder final bracket. Shawn Rash winning the championship. We've got the PBA Bear Open coming up starting tomorrow.
Again, our champion, and thank you to our host.
And Chris Barnes just wrapping things up out there.
Thank you to the crowd. It's been fantastic tonight. See you tomorrow here on FloBowling.
We've got the PBA Bear Open starting tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live here on FloBowling. That's going to do it for tonight from Parkside Lanes. Thanks to my co-host, Chris Barnes. I'm Lucas Wiseman. We'll see you here tomorrow afternoon for the Bear Open.